time of year again. I can't believe it. We're already here again. We're doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I love this tag. I do it every year. I've been doing BookTube now for several years at this point, which is a little spooky ooky to me. But this is one of my favorite videos to do every year, so let's get into it. So we're gonna answer 14 questions. I have the original creator of this tag listed down below, as well as all the questions. If you want to do this tag yourself. Question 1, the best book you've read so far this year. I think it's so hard to ask a bookworm the best book you've read, but I've got 3 answers, so I'll go through them very quickly. We've got Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers, cozy mystery. I'm gonna use this as an answer a lot this video, so bear with me and I apologize in advance. Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. This was an excellent nonfiction that was very deeply emotional and human, and I highly recommend it. This is a 5-star read. And then we have The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett, which is actually a reread. And the reason it's on this list is because when I originally read it, it was only like a 3.5-star read. Because, I don't know, I wasn't paying attention or something, and then I reread it and loved it. So I wanted to highlight how awesome The Tainted Cup is once again upon rereading and changing my mind a little bit. Question 2 is the best sequel you've read so far this year. I have to go with so many options. Before They Are Hanged by Joe Abercrombie, Prince's Gambit and King's Rising by C.S. Picot, A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett, and The Fractured Dark and the Bound Worlds by Megan E. O'Keefe. I've been trying to get through quite a few series this year that I'm enjoying and kind of wrap them up. And I've read some really awesome sequels this year. Once I am in a series, I try to get through them relatively quickly if they're all out, if that makes sense. A new release you haven't read yet but want to. My Best Friend's Honeymoon by Meryl Wilsner is probably at the top of this list. This is a queer romance featuring a non-binary main character, which we love to see. And this one, everything about the cover just screams summer romance, and so I really, really want to get to this one in the summer, and I'm just waiting at the library. Meryl Wilsner is almost as an author I'm almost willing to pre-order from, but I've been burned by a few pre-orders from authors I've loved recently, so we're just trying library first. So it might take me a bit, but this is at the top of my list. Number 4 is my most anticipated release for the second half of the year. T. Kingfisher has 3 books coming out. 3 in the latter half of 2025. I don't know how she does it. She's insane. We've got Hemlock and Silver, which is another horror fantasy fairy tale retelling. We've got What Stalks the Deep, which is a part of the Sworn Soldier series, which is another horror novella. And then we've got Snake Eater, which I don't know what this is, but 3 books, T. Kingfisher. Calm down, lady, but keep them coming, please. But I've also got on my list the second book in the Mina El-Sarafi series. I really enjoyed Mina El-Sarafi 1, which is The Adventures of Mina El-Sarafi, which is a historical fantasy pirate story, kind of getting the band back together for one more mission type story, and I cannot wait for the sequel. Number 5 is your biggest disappointment from this year, and I gotta say Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio. This was a 3.5-star read, so I didn't hate it by any means, but for how long this book is and how epic this series seems to be and whatnot, I was expecting to love Hadrian, our main character, way more than I did. He was just kind of like Wonder Boy genius, kind of Gary Stu like to me. And this book is like 800 pages, and for what? And it feels like a prequel. So I didn't really enjoy this one that much. It was just all right. My other disappointment is A Tropical Rebel Gets the Duke by Adriana Herrera. This was another 3.5-star read. So like, again, I didn't hate it, but the dynamic between these two didn't quite work for me. I just didn't buy their love. I got the lust, but I didn't really get behind their love. And there was a lot of plot happening outside of the romance, which I actually enjoyed all of that more than I loved the story of the characters coming together, unfortunately. Biggest surprises of the year. I gotta say Vera Wong. I don't really read cozy mysteries, but Vera has a very special place in my heart. I've read the sequel by now, and it was also incredible. So this one really came out of left field for me, and it's now one of my new favorites, and I can't shut up about it, clearly. Another new surprise, Role-Playing by Kathy Yardley is a contemporary romance featuring characters who are like 50, falling in love, and they're big dorks. And I guess I shouldn't be too surprised that I love this, because I'm also a big video game dork with my husband, so I should have known, but like this one still caught me off guard about how much I loved it and how it really touched something in me on a deeply personal level. So I'll just go with those two. Favorite new authors. They could be debut or new to you. I can add 3 authors to my favorites list. My favorite authors are authors that I've had to read multiple times and have to give multiple books high ratings, 4.5, 5 stars. So we're gonna go with Joe Abercrombie. He has potential because I've only read 2 books, but I've given both of them 4.5/5 stars. So he has potential. He's not quite on the favorites list yet, but he'll probably get there. Megan E. O'Keefe is firmly a new favorite author. I have loved everything she's written that I have read. Epic sci-fi, very fast-paced and engaging, and lovely romances thrown in. On top of that, incredible new favorite author. And then I'm actually putting Jane Austen on this list. I don't give Jane Austen books like 5 stars, but I have enjoyed pretty much every single one of her books that I've read to some degree. So I'm gonna put Jane Austen on this list as well. For number 8, it's newest fictional crush. And I don't have an answer this year. I haven't found any characters that I'm like lusting after. I'm not reading as much romance, which might have something to do with it, but I just haven't been drawn to anyone in particular yet this year. His newest favorite characters, Vera. Vera is a new comfort character. I love that lady so deeply. Are you tired of hearing about Vera Wong yet? I apologize, but like she's constantly on my mind. She just keeps infiltrating me in the best way possible. But I also gotta say, I love all of Joe Abercrombie's characters. His characters are so interesting, and like that's not a nuanced or like a new take. Everyone seems to love his characters, and I am no exception. They're all really interesting and nuanced, and I think he does an excellent job with his characters. A book that made me cry. I'll just very quickly, Vera. Vera Wong, both the first and the second book made me cry. The second one made me ugly boo-hoo, snot, ugly cry. Love Vera so deeply. Also, Everything is Tuberculosis made me really deeply emotional, actually. It's, again, a very human story, and he just did such a good job writing this. It really tugged on my heartstrings, and I teared up quite a bit reading this. A kind of a surprising one is I actually cried at the end of Chain Gang All-Stars. Even though the overall reading experience I had for this book was like kind of middle of the road, I think I gave this like 3.5 stars. The ending destroyed me, and of course I'm not gonna spoil it, but like I was just chugging along through this book, and then I got bowled over like a truck by the ending and cried my little eyes out. So good job with this author for doing that to me. Thanks for that, bud. Books that made me happy, Vera Wong. We'll just Vera for all the answers, essentially. But another book that made me happy was Long Live Evil by Sarah Reese Brennan, because it's just a silly, goofy time. Like, don't take this book too seriously. This book doesn't take itself seriously in any way, shape, or form, and I just kind of found myself smiling and kind of laughing at this book, which I think is the intent. had a good time with it. I will also say Glow of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I'm not a big romantic-y reader, but this series by Penn Cole is actually really working for me. And again, it's one of those where I was kind of like rolling my eyes at like some of the tropes and kind of, it was a little stereotypical in a way, but I also couldn't put it down and was like having a lot of fun with it. So gotta shout out Penn Cole too. The most beautiful book I bought this year is probably this illustrated Hobbit edition. The illustrations are by Michael Haig. These are just so intricate and cool, and I found this at a thrift store for $8. So not only was this a beautiful purchase just with the artwork inside this thing, how fun would this be to read to like children in my life, but it was also a great deal. So I'm gonna put this. I also this edition of Sword Heart, the new hardcover with the blue edges, and this cover is also fabulous. So illustrated Hobbit and the new Tea Kingfisher Sword Heart. Well, it's not new, it's just republished in this hardcover edition. Question 13 is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? In 2025, I've been trying to kind of go with the flow and not really agonize about meeting certain goals or criteria. I'm just trying to have a balanced life outside of reading. And so I've been trying to pursue other hobbies as well as read a lot, because I do love reading. It's my #1 hobby, but I've been trying to find balance in my life, and that's something I'll probably always struggle with. But I think I've been doing well with that, and so I'm going to continue kind of going with the flow, reading kind of whatever I feel like. But as of filming this video, I only have 3 books left to read on my 2025 list. So I put together a list of 25 books I want to read this year, and I've actually read 22 out of the 25, so I guess those 3 left on that list. If I can get to more anticipated releases that are coming out this year, that would be great, but I'm not trying that hard to read every single one of my anticipated releases, just the ones that I get around to. Again, trying to go with the flow a little bit more. Unfortunately, the book that I'm like, I need to read this by the end of the year is the The Last Argument of Kings by Joe Abercrombie. Like, that is what I am in the mood for, because I finished the 2nd book in this series and immediately wanted to finish the trilogy. But I have to wait months and months and months for the audiobook from the library. So like, that's the one where I'm like, give it to me. And I like am in the mood for and want to read it, but like, who knows if I will get the library hold even in the next 6 months. I don't know, but that's like one that I'm like, I would love to finish out that series if I could. 14 is shouting out your favorite book community members. I mostly stick to YouTube these days, so I'm just gonna shout out some of my favorite booktubers. These are some booktubers I've probably shouted out before, but these are the ones that have consistently been favorites year after year after year at this point. So we've got Bria from Tells of Tales, Mina from Mina Reads, Kayla from Books and Lala, and Emily from Books with Emily Fox. I'll have all of those creators linked down below. I love not only some of them I love for their taste in books and like having similar reading tastes, and some of these creators I just love their content so deeply and find comfort from them. So check those out. Check out those creators down below. And that is the end of my 2025 mid-year freakout tag. I can't believe we are here. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know any of the answers to these questions for yourself. I'd love to know all of that in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video of mine very soon. Goodbye.